This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome, guys. This is so fun. Means winter's almost over. We're having a garden meeting. It's happening. I sadly do have something after this. I have like a weird, who knew Thursdays were such a popular evening? So I'm going to try to move this meeting pretty efficiently. But I think mostly tonight's meeting is setting up a lot of conversations for, getting us going. And I feel like then once we'll have more stuff going in like the next meeting. So I think it'll probably be naturally kind of efficient. So yeah, if you don't have any updates, just, say so. We don't need to, no pressure to have updates at this point. We're just starting the year. And, I guess I'll start by bringing up. So I ended last meeting in November talking about our relationship to the Sustainability Committee of the city. We are a subcommittee of that part of the city, and I was meeting with Ava, and she is sort of our connector to the sustainability portion of the, there we go, here's Ted. Ted, are you here? Is it not actually loading? Yeah. Hi, Ted. Why is it? Am I the only one having him like not be part of the tiles? There we go. Okay, great. Hi. You're muted, but that's okay. Hi. So I was just, hi, Ted. So I was going over, and Ted was part of this conversation too, just our relationship to the sustainability subcommittee of the city. We are part of that and kind of working on our communication with the people who work in that department in the city. Ava is our contact there, and they're super nice. And I brought up that there are some funding opportunities that we should and can be applying for different projects for this year and onwards. That Ava said, like, it sounds like all our projects are like the cheapest things that anyone would be applying for. So you should start thinking about that. And they want to come to, they couldn't make it to this meeting, but Ava's hopefully going to come to our next meeting and answer our questions. And I'm also meeting with her next week to reestablish the conversation, since we haven't talked since like October. So just keep that in mind. I'm talking to Ava, and start prepping your questions about, what can the city do for us? What kinds of, funding opportunities should we be doing? If you have any hopes for how we build our relationship with the fact that we are part of the city. But they were just really impressed at how well the garden runs without their involvement at all. So that's awesome. And so that's my little thing. And we'll move on to the acceptance of the minutes. So we had, our last meeting was November 7th, 2024. Does anyone have any notes or comments about those minutes? All right. Would anyone like to move to confirm those minutes? Ted moves. Anyone second the motion? Seconded?
I second.
Margie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. So the minutes have been accepted. And now we will move on to the treasurer's report.
There is no change from the last meeting that we had back in November. I have been expecting And Barbara even mentioned it the other day when I was speaking to her that we haven't heard from the or gotten any bills about the shutting down and opening up of the water. So I'm not sure what's happening there.
Are you referencing Broadbrook or?
Yeah, yeah.
Do they usually wait till the end of the fiscal year or something to bill us?
I've seen bills that have come in separately for the opening up and the shutting down. I think last year it was all in one. So far this year, nothing. I mean, we didn't get anything last year. The year before and the year before that, we've been getting bills. So I'm not sure what's happening there. I haven't seen any bills. So I think we just have to be prepared to pay a bill if it comes in. I'm not sure.
Frank,
Steve?
well, Frank may know the answer to this, but well, how do we? Maybe they didn't do anything. I don't. Maybe.
Whoops.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe they
know.
didn't
I'm
say-
not the contact for them, so.
I know, but what would be a test of that? I mean, the city turns the water on and turns it off, so it's not like we could run it.
Right,
How
you
would we-
can't. I mean, because usually they just purge the lines and get the water out.
Right, but so maybe they just didn't do it.
That would not be good.
Yeah. Especially this year.
After the winter we had. Yeah, we should get a hold of them and see them. But that doesn't make sense that they wouldn't bill us. And they wouldn't.
If they didn't do anything, if they didn't
they
service
wouldn't.
us, they wouldn't have billed us.
And they wouldn't wait on a fiscal year. They're in business, man. They want their money.
So, but usually, Stephen, you just reach out to the city.
That's
to
what I
say
do.
we're
Yes,
ready? Okay.
yes, exactly.
And then the city calls them.
No. No, usually someone from our committee would call them.
Yeah, I think that's where we haven't
That's why we
we've
don't.
fallen down a little bit.
Okay.
So
So,
we need to follow
So-
up with them, and they may need to come in as soon as the main is turned on. Get the main turned on as soon as we pass the frost line.
so they're just a okay. So, but how is this? Who was the contact years before if it wasn't Stephen?
It wasn't me.
I don't know because it wasn't me. I'm trying to think who.
It's
Would
not,
the city have called in the past? I mean, it's like
No, the
last
city
year
has-
it was the same group of people.
City's got nothing to do with it. They just come and turn the water on and off. That's all they do.
But there's nobody. I mean, but this is the
Steven, you
same
didn't.
group who was
Steven,
here.
you never called them. I mean, you never. In the past,
I have never called them ever.
who the heck did?
That I recall. I certainly.
Because they've come and done the work, so someone's obviously called them. But it wasn't me.
this is,
Mark is missing right now. Could he have been the one that did it?
I don't think
I don't-
so. I mean, I guess, but he didn't say anything this past time.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just trying to think back to anyone on the committee who would be gone. Not,
Well, I can just call them and see like if they just. And we're positive the city when the city comes to turn off the water.
they turn the water off and they remove a piece from the pump house, if I'm not mistaken. And that's it.
Okay. Well, I'll call them. And Ted, you said we have a bill from them from the year before last, right?
yeah, we didn't have any bills for this year for opening or closing, but we did have a bill last year. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll call them this week and see, and then they can tell us who they usually is their contact and see what happened. But yeah, I'll try to make a point. Hopefully they can tell us how to troubleshoot if hopefully this won't be too big. Hopefully none of the pipes burst, but we'll just have to see. We will just have to see. Cool. Okay. Well, that's noted. Any other budget related concerns?
I have none. As we go, I think last year we actually set the budget after deciding how we wanted to do it and had an idea of the income based upon the fees and donations around May. I think it was at our May meeting. So we have one more meeting, I guess, to be talking over what maybe ideas of what we might want to do. And then we can try to sit down and figure out what's going on with the budget. And that has a lot to do with getting the application out, I guess, and having people start to sign up.
Hey, Ted, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the different balances here.
Mm-hmm.
There's the ending balance on the reserve fund is $1,912 and change, but then the city account total is $3,319.
Yeah.
So the difference is because is it all the purchase order stuff? Like,
yes.
If
you add up what we have set up that could be spent through the purchase orders, plus the other money that could be used to set up other purchase orders or renew purchase orders.
Yeah.
So the total is the 3119.65.
Right. And then, then everything else is just kind of encumbered and then we're waiting to spend it.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Because this is just the budget, we don't need to approve it, right? It's not
it's just I'm just bringing up to date that we didn't have there were no bills paid between November and now. So it's the exact same report that I gave you in November. Just to bring everybody up to date if you didn't have the November report.
Sarah, we typically vote to accept the treasurer's report. The treasurer's report typically includes the budget, a
Cool.
representation of the budget as an exhibit. But
okay, great.
Typically we'll vote to approve the report. In this case, the report is nothing's changed.
All right. Would anyone like is anyone so moved to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll move that we approve it.
I'll
Anyone second it? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Awesome. Operations.
Okay. There won't be a lot here, so I'll be quick. Probably within the next month, I will get the lawnmower up to flurry. Actually, I'll probably wait and do that. I'll wait to do that in April, mid-April or something, but try and get in before they start getting busy, just to get tune-ups on the mowers and the weed whackers. And really, other than that, keeping our fingers crossed about the pipes. There's not a whole lot else. I'll get a hold of Mark and we'll go back and look at hoses and stuff, but I think we're pretty good with a lot of that stuff. We'll probably need some more nozzles and things. And I'm going to talk to Russell up at Park Hill, and we can talk about this in the next meeting. This is certainly, if I can get in touch with him and talk to him to get some seed from him, I want to experiment in one of the quadrants where the thistle is. He has a grass that he grows. It's called Sudanex, I think. And it grows about up to my chest. And it is for it. I think I don't know if it sets nitrogen. I have to ask him that, but I do know that it's for controlling and eliminating weeds. And I'm just curious if we can maybe try it in one of the quadrants there. Not even a whole 4 plot, just one of the old plots, and see how it does. Because if it could stamp out that thistle, it would be pretty awesome.
That does sound cool.
Yeah, because after they use it and plow it under the fields, they are noticeably more free of weeds.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And the thing is, I don't want to do a whole 4
Right.
section, because then it'll be cover for things that will want to eat our gardens too.
Right. Well, and I was hoping to cover some of the plots with the new in-house compost operation.
Yep.
So, but I don't think that would take all 4 spots either. So that would be a good way to fill in the gaps. I think that's smart. And try it. I mean, like, what do we have to lose? Like,
We have nothing to lose.
Yeah. Okay, that's so cool. All right, I'm excited to hear what he says.
I just need to double check with him that it's an annual.
Okay.
Not a perennial.
Yeah, not just a new thing. Oh yeah, Margie. Yeah.
Marge, you're muted.
It keeps muting me and turning my camera off without me asking. But anyway, I have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 new nozzles that I've been collecting. So, and they're good ones. So, first time I go there, I'll bring them. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think I really have much of anything else right now, because I know we kind of want to move on here.
Cool. Well, I'll just say, Mark had his shed inventory at the end of last year that he sent to everyone, but I forgot to put it in the drive. So I'm going to put it in the drive this week. So that will be in there also for people to reference. But yeah, sorry, I cut off. Any questions? There's no questions. Okay.
Okie dokie.
Well, thanks, operations. Okay, so I feel like the big conversation of the night is going to be with outreach. Margie?
It's not so big. We have 2 open plots and 2 people on the waiting list. Over the winter, I received consistent emails asking about if there were plots available and if they should send the application and the fee to me. And my response was, please email me again in mid-March. And I explained that we have our meeting and that we won't know how many current gardeners will be leaving for a while. We won't know that. Everybody was very nice, so I'm anticipating in another week or so a longer waiting list. Meanwhile, as soon as we have the applications updated and online, I'm going to let the 2 people know they applied for plots already in the fall. So I'll let them know that there are plots waiting for them, and I can see which ones are open. It's let's see, B4 and B11, Stevens old plot, and ST6. So, oh, we have 3 plots open, not 2. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting about Stevens. I keep hoping he's going to garden them again. So, the first person who emails me will get the 3rd open plot. But there's not much more to say right now.
Well, I just messaged everyone the link to the Google Drive of the current application. I realized I should have emphasized it before the meeting to take a look. I guess part of me feels an urgency that we go forward with this one, like any edits that we could see right away.
Did you get
Oh yeah,
mine?
yeah.
I sent one, the place where it says don't send in anything until you check that there's an open plot. It's like at the top. I just requested that you make the font a little bit larger, because what I notice is that people have a tendency to ignore the fine print.
All right. I just made it larger.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm like, yeah, like it's bold and italicized. You're right, but still no one reads it. So yes, now it's big and bold and italicized. I guess so. Do you guys feel comfortable approving this now, or are some of you wanting to look at it and approve it over email? My urgency is that I would love to set a date for when we want these due by, so that way we can start opening things up for other, this growing wait list that we anticipate happening.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, I would
Frank?
be for voting for it over email, but let's set a date to get in whatever observation you want, and then that's it, and we move on, because we definitely want the application out there.
Well, when do we want the application due? And then I'll do then I'll set the date for when edits are.
Well, we had one day for old gardeners and one day for new gardeners, and
Right.
it was
right.
in there. I would suggest we just keep it, maybe modify it, for the new year, but it looked like I think it worked last year.
Let's see. Yeah, we have April 1st as the due date from last year. And April 1st this year is a Tuesday. And that's before our meeting.
Is that for old or new or everybody?
It looks like we just have the one, and it must just be because we first sent it out to all of our mailing list, like our current gardeners.
I thought we had
Because then, oh, sorry, Margie.
I thought we had 2 dates, one for old gardeners and one for new.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we got rid of the one for new because we have sort of a rolling, like we approach the new gardeners as plots open up.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. If we had a lot of open plots, we could have a second date, but since we don't, yeah.
Is April 1st enough time for you, Margie, though, if our meeting is on the 4th? Or on the 3rd? Is that enough time for you to be able to see how many people got back to us? Do you need more time than that?
That's Tuesday to Thursday. Yeah, that might
Yeah.
be a little tight for me because I work all day Wednesday and I work Thursday. And our gardeners don't always get back to us within the time limit. I'm going to need time to reach out to the ones who don't respond.
Yeah.
I think people have a tendency to think if they don't respond, it's assumed that they're coming back.
Would it be wrong to have it be March 25th? So then there's that week of lag time before the next meeting.
How about 27th, and that gives it a week?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
What day is that?
It's a
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
March 27th is a Thursday.
Yeah, then I have the whole weekend to deal with it. That would be great.
All right. Sorry, I hear there's a hand raised and I'm not looking at the screen because I'm typing Thursday. Jane.
Hi. Did you say you sent out the applications in an email?
No.
Where can we access
I
that?
just sent it
Oh,
in the messages here on the video, the in-call messages. There's a link.
Okay, good, because I need to do that quickly because I'll be out of the country for a while.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I feel like what I'll probably do then is I will send out this link to all the, I mean, this is always the issue. I'll send it out to all the gardeners for editing, or just the people who showed up to this committee meeting.
Just committee members. That's how
Just
we
committee members. Okay. Jane, you're welcome to comment too. I feel like this is sort of the magic beauty of how involvement is. We don't have official committee selections, but you know, if you come, if you know, are here, I'll send it to you. So March 27th is when we want the applications due.
There, Sarah,
Yes.
if the 27th is a Thursday, that's the last day that the office is open.
Oh, okay.
You might want to do it for the 26th to give
Just for
them
that
time
window.
to process. I don't know if you've mentioned that Barbara is retiring at the end of March.
I have not. I forgot to say that. I also, yeah,
And
I don't.
so
Yeah, that's good.
I'm sure she's going to be busy breaking in whoever the new person is going to be. So we should give her a little bit of time. I would think at least.
When is her last day? Did Stephen or Ted, I can't remember who sent the.
She's retiring at the end of March, so I don't know whether she's going to work that last day or finish up that week and just have.
I forwarded the email that she sent saying she'd be happy to, process things and do garden things until the day she left.
Okay.
As long as she was there, that's how she put it.
Yeah.
Well, if I send, I'm going to send this link out to everyone and ask that any edits be done on there or suggestions done by Monday, the 10th. And then I'll send it out that night to all the gardeners. So that way that gives Barb time for people to trickle in, hopefully throughout the whole month. Does that feel good?
Well, I usually send out a community email asking gardeners to let me know.
Okay.
If they're going to return or not, so that I have an idea if we're going to have any open plots. And
Okay.
we can also request that they get their application. Did we say by March 27th just now? Or
26th. We moved it to Wednesday, the 26th.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do anything on Wednesday. I don't know.
Well, you won't need to have anything done until the following week, really, when we have our meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So how I'll do this is I will have all the edits due by Monday the 10th, and then I will forward the completed document to you, Margie, and you'll send out an email on, you know, the 11th or, just sometime next week.
Yeah, I'll send the email with the attached application.
Great.
I think that's what I usually do.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Question for Margie.
What?
Margie, how many plots are total plots are available that people will be paying fees for?
What do you mean? Don't people pay for every plot?
I just want to know how many plots. So if we don't pay for the pollinator plot, we don't pay for the 4 that we're not using. How many?
Aren't there 46 plots, and then we just need to subtract 3?
Yeah, I can count here really quick.
I haven't counted.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta find the document. And look at the picture here. Here, I'll do it by row. 1, 2.
Oh.
Yeah, the math is pretty easy. 1, 2. Okay, so it's 32 plus 9. It looks like it's 41.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Is everyone feeling good about I will send this link out to the committee and the people who've come to the meeting tonight. So I'm just going to note that, send it to Jane and Ryan, in addition to everyone else, and Christine. And any edits or suggestions to the document? I'm going to send a suggestible document versus one where you permanently edit the document. All comments due on Monday the 10th, and for Margie to then send out to all the gardeners following March 10th for applications to be due to the city by March 26th. Does anyone feel moved? Or I guess I'm going to move that plan forward. Would anyone second the motion?
Wait, I'm just a little confused here.
Uh-huh.
So we're updating, the application will be complete supposedly by Monday, March 10th.
Yes.
So I'll be able to send out a community email on Tuesday.
Great.
Yeah, so that gives people a little bit more, about 2 weeks, is it? Yeah.
Yes.
So okay, that should be good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it feels like a rush a little bit to me, but I think that's just because it's how spring moves. Awesome. So I would like to move that. Plan forward. Anyone second the motion? Ryan, was that a second? Great. All in favor? Aye. Great. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So that's all set. And any other outreach from Eric or Margie?
No, I'm finished.
Great. I made the mistake, I guess, so Outreach knows I made the mistake of deleting the Instagram app from my phone and re-downloading it, and lost the login for the Easthampton Community Garden in that process. So after it took so long to get it, I will get it again, and then I will get it to us so we can use that social media platform. Okay, great. Any path maintenance updates?
Nope.
You're
Nope.
Great.
Nothing to report.
All right. And donation garden is me. I'm going to table this. I think we need to decide if we want to try this project again this year. I personally am feeling like I don't want to take on managing it. But you know, we had some mixed success with it this past season. Stephen?
Yeah, what I was going to say is that I'd be agreeable taking over the management of it
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
if, this is a big if, we do it differently.
Mhm.
I don't want to be burdened with having to do the planting in 2 plots when it is not worked out. And there's no reason to believe it's going to work out any better this year. Unless what I was going to suggest was that if it's agreeable to everyone, that people do a set aside, pick a corner of their plots. I don't know, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, the southeast corner, whatever, and grow something. And I would then take over all the harvesting and delivering of whatever people grow, and that way we can free up those donation garden, the plots that have been assigned to the donation garden, free them up for other plot holders, and take it like that. I just think that's the only way of doing it. I'm not. It's the only. That's the conditions under which I would take it over.
Awesome. Well, that would be really helpful since you already do the collection. You're
Right.
basically already in charge of a lot of it. And I love the idea. I'm also wondering if we could have a system where we build some signs that people could stab into their garden next to what they want you to harvest, like a big yellow, tomato stake or something that's like, hey, like,
Right. Like,
I've got an
yeah,
abundance of this, Stephen, here's the code, like harvest from this plant. Could be cool. Margie, did you have a hand up?
Yeah, I was just wondering, those 2 plots, they were the actual donation gardens, the 2 thistle covered plots. So opening them up to gardening sounds kind of iffy to me because
No,
they're
no.
still kind of overgrown.
I'm sorry, Margie. I mean, eventually we got to get rid of the fist. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying it will ultimately free up those plots.
Okay. I'm also not sure how I feel about asking people to grow something in part of their plot for donation because I think we need to put it as a suggestion because I already can hear some people saying, I don't have enough space for that. I do this, I grow that. I'm not sure how I feel about it myself because last season I just didn't have enough success with anything to donate anything. My beets were over or underrun by voles. My onions got attacked by all the wetness. My squash were teeny tiny. Nothing was really successful to me. So I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't have anything to donate. I mean, hopefully this season will be different. But I think we should put it out as a suggestion. Assuming you mean the whole community, unless, Stephen, you're only including people here now.
No, the whole community. We're a community garden.
Maybe we should put an email out to the community and see how people feel about that.
Well, then we'll be down the road many months before anything's settled. It'll be kind of late. I mean, here's the reality. The reality is that right now I'm kind of like, it's kind of a waste of time and effort because I'm going to, I pick up whatever people have put in the chest.
Right.
And Margie, you've been one of the best people in that regard. And delivered. But it's been so. I mean, last season was so. I was almost embarrassed because it's just nothing to compared to other years. I'm not. It's just I'm not going to do it.
I didn't think many people had a lot of extra. I didn't have anything. My last season for me was really terrible. And I think that was like, I forget who it is, but one couple,
There's plenty, Margie, we all know.
all they
You can
had was
walk
onions.
and walk through the garden and you can see plenty of stuff. I mean, it's never that there are bad years to be certain. And I hear what you're saying about your experience. But I mean, look, I'm just saying, I'm happy to take it over. That's the condition. If people don't want to do it that way, fine. Then we just let it go.
What about if we get a certain number of gardeners to agree to that, or a certain percentage or something? What would your minimum be?
I don't know.
We're not going to get everyone to agree to that.
Well, I think it's a worthy thought. I mean, a few ideas have been thrown out. I do think you're right that we shouldn't ask every gardener to do that. Like, it shouldn't be a requirement. But I do think finding a system that helps people who have excess get that excess to someone with more ease, and people who have like a weird portion of their garden that they don't know what to do with. Maybe we can lean on it that way. But I do think you're right to emphasize that we shouldn't be forcing people to have an expectation of donating. So I think just because I think I want to give this has been sort of a lingering issue for so long. I do want us to really be able to talk about it. And I'll raise it with the rest of in the next email that this is an agenda topic. And so for the next meeting, we'll really open this up. And for now, just kind of sit with these ideas and everyone think about it for next time. But I'm glad to know that Stephen is interested in taking over responsibility in whatever capacity it might happen.
And I think there's still enough time till the growing season starts even to table it for another meeting and then to see how it's received by the community.
Well, Sarah, it's not by whatever means. I mean, because if we designate areas I'm not gonna grow a garden.
Right, right. Sorry, yeah.
So it's not going to be that option. And it's just like I said, this past year was just total waste.
All right. Well, we'll talk about the different. We'll open up for discussion, and then we will see if what comes out of the discussion feels like something worth you taking on. And if it doesn't, we'll see if anyone can take it on. And then if no one can, then we'll just let it rest for this year, and see what happens the following. I do think it's a good project, but I also know like we just have to take the garden as it is and as it shifts with who's participating. So, and who knows, we might have a couple new gardeners who have some ideas and passions as well. Yeah, Ted.
Yeah, I really like Stephen's idea. I have to express it. I'm willing to put up one grow bag, a 10-gallon grow bag with a tomato plant in it that's going to yield a bunch of tomatoes. If my other grow bags will also yield tomatoes, how I do with donation is probably going to be very much the same as it would be for my own stuff. And a grow bag, a small grow bag, can sit in a 2x2 area in the corner of a plot. And I mean, I'd even be happy to donate some grow bags so people can grow something in a very small part of their lot, and everybody can find something, just something. And we all realize that sometimes stuff doesn't grow as well in any given season, but I think we should be trying, and I like Stephen's idea. getting everybody to participate as much as possible. And I just need to say that.
Awesome. I agree. I do agree. I think we have we tried an experiment last year with the grow bags, and I think it didn't work. And I think it was, a lot of great reasons why. But doesn't mean that it wouldn't work in sort of a shifted capacity or asking people to use a portion of the garden, I think. So thank you for
Yeah, I'm not talking about these big grow bags.
Yeah, no, just the stout guys is great. It's a great point. It is a tomato plant. But I do, so any other last comments? But otherwise I would love to move this for more discussing next meeting.
Just one little quick thing. I'm getting in touch with why I feel resistant. And it's because I already donate to like 12 different families from the little bit that I grow. So having another corner with something to give away again feels like pressure. I have 8 kids. I have 8 grandkids. Well, I have 3 of them have their own homes. I have 3 kids who eat my vegetables. And I have 2 and now a 3rd neighbor who look forward to some vegetables from my garden that I give them every year. So I don't know. I don't feel like I feel like I'm already donating to the community.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So
you certainly are. I mean,
I just got in touch with that resistance that I'm feeling. You remember, Stephen, my kale? One year I had this awesome kale, and it was easy to donate to everybody. In a good year, it's great.
You've collectively, Margie, you probably have donated more than I think almost anyone.
Wow, that's that's surprising. I feel like it's never really enough.
But if enough people do it, you come away with a half decent delivery. It's what we've had, but it hasn't been that way.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's already amazing to think about the ways that we prior donating to the community without realizing it too. Like, that's not just through the community center.
I guess the larger point, and then we can go on to something else, is that, we're a community garden. We should do something, I'm just making a suggestion about donating, particularly, of course, to the community center. They do appreciate what we bring them. Believe me, it's very appreciated. And it's just, I think the right thing to do as a community garden. That's basically my bottom line point.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Awesome. Well, great. I'm excited to keep talking about it. For now, let's move to the pollinator garden. Any quick updates there, Karen?
No, it's been a pretty frozen winter, so yeah, not a whole lot got done. But looking forward to getting some more plants from my gardens as they, in the spring they pop up. I get so many volunteers that I'm throwing stuff out. So I will be later when it's warmer and a better time to do it, be ordering the dirt from Easthampton Feed and getting that in and then transplanting some volunteers.
Awesome.
That's all.
Great. I'm so excited. Fabulous. So the next is the volunteer hours report. Nothing there. We're not in the volunteer hours portion of the year yet, but seemed like the methods last year worked really well. We kept attendance of everyone, and there I think there were only 2 gardeners who didn't complete their hours, so that was awesome. And a lot of support. Next,
what happens when they don't complete their hours? Are there consequences or?
Most of our consequences, I think, were, and it's something that we maybe need to approach like a 3-step situation there. But I reached out to those people individually to say, they haven't completed their hours here, so they can do it. And then some of them did some things or reached out as to why. And I can't even think. I'm thinking one of them is or did everyone in the end do something? I mean, I feel like I'm like, now I should just look back at my notes because I'm like, did everyone end up doing them? But yeah, we don't have a strict, it's kind of like when Frank does the weed checks. It's like just a constant conversation with the person, be like, are you intending to do this? Are you like, what is happening with your relationship to your plot and the community garden at large? And usually people end up either saying, I can't do the plot, or but it might be worth sort of writing in our guidelines a more like strict, like just making it clear that that is our process. Yeah. I'm gonna write to put that in the guidelines. All right. Okay, so the next is the compost operations. I'm hoping to get that project actually running this season. I'll review that project again next meeting. I think, Ted, if I'm not mistaken, I think I still have the old information about the budget for that from last year. I think that's still all we'll need. It was just the requests, or like the proposed budget for the like wire and the clips to hold the compost bins that the piles get put in. But I'll remind us of that proposed budget and send out that like plan again soon. But it'd be cool to get that running so that we have our own compost to use in the garden instead of having to buy it every year. All right. So the big old and continuing business is our governance. I apologize that I am a little cramped for time tonight, but I do want to keep that in people's minds that it was brought up that we don't have a very clear, our guidelines are guidelines. We function in a very successful yet fluid way. And it might be worth creating some internal documents that say different term limits or expectations around the roles on this committee, in addition to making our guidelines, keeping those, having a regular refresh and updating, and having each year's like updated guidelines, posted and things like that. But again, I think we need to still think about that, and I'm kind of want to organize maybe separately. I'm thinking of putting out an email to the gardeners to say, if you're interested in being on a governance committee to talk through this stuff, or if you are interested in it, starting that as another subcommittee, so that way they can work on those things and bring it to us, so that we don't have to take up so much time talking about it here. They can like bring like, here's what we all talked about. What does the committee think? Any thoughts on that? Yeah, Margie.
Well, I understand the interest in doing that. My first thought is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And I agree with that, because right now it's not like we have people climbing all over themselves to join the committee or
Right.
to show up at the meetings.
And why is that? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Do we want to?
We're so fun.
Yeah.
Time. Nobody has time in this culture.
No, it's true. It's like, especially now, it's like it's really tough.
We have.
But I want us to be that popular. I want them waiting out the door to get to these meetings.
Well, I mean, at the moment, we have already told every single letter that gets out says, if you want to come to the meetings, come to the meetings, come and participate, learn how it's done.
Join the
We
committee.
don't have a flood of people who show up.
Yep.
And we don't have a flood of people who say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take over the growing for the community stuff." It's not like we have a line of people asking to take over the jobs, and we already spend so much time discussing stuff. I think we should table this until it gets to the point where it becomes something that needs to be considered.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes is a great point. Ryan, you have your hand raised next.
I think I like that is totally reasonable, and I also, just as like a newer member, what am I trying to say? I think that maybe this is related and maybe this is unrelated, but I guess I've just been thinking about like that the social event that we did at the end of last year was really helpful for me as a new member, and feeling like I knew some more people, and that I felt more excited about coming to a meeting, and figuring out how to get involved in different ways. I think some of it feels intimidating to figure out how to break into, and what's it going to look like when you show up. So I think just maybe figuring out, I guess I'm just putting in a plug for some other like less formal, but like social things and or regular work parties that are scheduled further in advance this year. And maybe that would get more people excited about showing up to other things. Just my 2 cents.
That's a great suggestion.
Good idea.
I also think your point, maybe I'll schedule out the work days for the whole year now versus doing it by the month, because you're right, if people could mark their calendars around their traveling and stuff, that would be good. Margie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, and when I first joined, there were a few potlucks scheduled during the season, but they never seemed to work out. I remember I showed up once with a whole bunch of food, and not one single other person was there. So that probably just kind of like withered away. But I also had an idea that maybe if we do put out something that opens up the possibility for gardeners to take on governing roles without like forcing the issue, but let people know that it is possible, maybe that would get some people interested in joining who don't want to do other things, who would like to be part of a governing, call it a subcommittee. Is that clear? Did I explain that clearly? Because, some people, like, I wouldn't join if I was going to like run it, but I like little things that I do. And maybe someone doesn't want to do a donation plot, or doesn't want to do pollinator, or a lot of emails or paths, but maybe they'd be interested in chairing meetings. Maybe that's somebody's strength. So if we kind of let it be known that the committee is open to those type of interests, people expressing that interest, it could be done in a way that we don't need to do it if no one is interested and everything's going well. But if someone expresses an interest, then we make room for that. Is that clear? I don't know how to actually go about that, but it needs more thought.
No, that makes sense to me. I think it's echoing what Ryan said, just figuring out how to open things up to people to see what they might have to offer, might want to offer, and understand us better as a committee and as a community garden. And then
sorry, I just think people think that our roles are fixed. So if we let them know that there's room for people to take over certain roles,
Mhm.
and that it's not fixed, like we can be even more fluid than we are. Maybe that would be helpful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Stephen, and then Jane after that.
Yeah. Well, I did want to get back to Ryan's point because I think it was really well taken. I mean, we're functional. I mean, we're basically a social. I mean, it's a social thing. Basically, we're not here just to be bureaucratic for the purpose of being bureaucratic. We we have certain roles. I mean, Margie. I mean, yeah. This. I don't know how much fluidity is, is beneficial. Like, well, who wants to chair this? I mean, we have agendas. You have to have a little bit more structure. I don't think this is an overly structured organization. It may be a little intimidating, as you were saying, Ryan, coming in, and everyone's kind of, we're working off the agenda. But what I was going to say is that the one thing that we have to accomplish in this meeting is we should be able to propose an opening. I mean, the first big thing on the site is the official opening of the garden, where everyone gets their plots. We all see each other. So I do think we might want to give some thought to setting a date for that, so it's done well in advance, and that might really kick things off in a really good way, per what Ryan is suggesting. Let's start off the year with everyone knowing a date that everyone's going to be there, and we can all kick off, the year together, and make it festive, and put a potluck in, and I would love to get a picnic table.
Yes, I've been looking.
I said there's this one on the street. I keep on looking. I can't tell if it's been abandoned or not. And every time I see it, I'm thinking, oh, I should get out of my car and ask them. But we really ought to have a nice, modest but nice space that everyone feel, oh, I'm good with coming over and doing something there.
Yes, definitely. I have it on next month's agenda to decide on the opening day.
The only thing, it's just it's a little tight, Sarah. I mean, yeah, we certainly have to confirm it. I agree. And by the way, just to be clear, when I said opening, I mean, we do have a business meeting like this that we do ask everyone to attend. I don't know if last year, Ryan, whether you attended that, but because it's nice to have something outdoors, but it's hard to go over, get questions answered or go over technical stuff. This is a much easier forum to do that, and that typically is our April meeting. So it's
typically, at least last year, our first required opening meeting was the meeting before our opening work day. So it was the first Thursday of May was the all community gardeners committee meeting. And then we did the following Saturday as the opening work day.
Okay, so I misspoke if I said April then, if it was May.
But I'm open to changing that. I was just planning to do it again that way this year, but I do want to move to Jane and then Karen also.
Yeah, I was just like, last year was my first year and I was just kind of figuring out my own plot. But what I want to ask is what types of governance kind of positions are open?
Well, as far as
what are the needs?
official, why am I blanking? Governance, I think, would be its own subcommittee to come up with managing and updating our documents, as well as managing and updating, coming up with do our guidelines need to have, like it was just brought up, the what do we do when someone fails a plot inspection? What do we do if someone fails their community hours? They would be tackling those questions, talking about it internally. Kind of, it's just like how the pollinator garden meets up to work on the pollinator garden. The governance committee would meet up to talk about these things, bring the discussion back to this meeting, so that way we could move through some of these bigger moments, like with a more dedicated space, and then have like sort of a summary to bring to the committee and to the garden about like what they discussed and what their thoughts were. I think it's just I guess sometimes what I feel is these meetings we have so much to talk about and such a large variety that we keep pushing back important things about how this organization runs, that we might need to start setting aside some separate time, which is tough because we set aside separate time for work days, for potlucks now, for these meetings, and for other things. So we have a lot of moving parts, and maybe parsing out some of that work a little bit. But as far as particular positions available in addition to that new idea, our governance subcommittee would be, we are looking for a secretary for Eric to train, which I believe will probably need to happen fairly soon. Does that kind of answer your question, Jane?
Yeah, because I do remember I volunteered to do something last year, but I forgot what it is now.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
I'm sure it'll come up, but right.
And then Karen.
Well, I'm glad to hear Stephen comment on the picnic table, because as you all know, I have been talking for a few years about the one we have rotting, and we do not have a comfortable place to just sit and cogitate and maybe talk with people who come through. When I go to the garden, people are down working on their plot. I don't feel like I should be interrupting them because maybe they just have a certain amount of time to get their work done. It would be nice to have a table where people could sit, where we could have our potlucks, where you could maybe meet people as a general congregation area at the garden. And going forward, it would be really great if we had like some kind of an arbor over that, so that we were partially shaded, so that when we did have an outdoor event, we weren't in the blinding sun. We were in someplace comfortable and enjoyable to sit and enjoy each other's company.
We need a new committee, a picnic table.
I love that. Well, and it did get me thinking. I mean, Ryan at the end of last year brought up how it'd be so, and it's come up a couple years in the past, is having signs for each garden plot. Like we could all decorate signs for our plots. It'd be so cool to decorate a picnic table or an arbor as a garden. Decorating donation signs, be like, come, grab from this plant. So it might be worth, like, I know the opening workday, we usually make kind of a pretty intensive workday, but maybe this year making it more arts and crafts and like community focus to get people more excited in that realm could be good. And then shifting, like, battling with thistle to be another workday instead of the opening one, instead of it being like some of these more daunting tasks. Let's see. Any other comments on any of that?
I'd be happy to build a table if we could get some lumber and decide on what kind of design and location, same location.
Do you think?
I'm not sure about a permanent arbor, but I can certainly for the events that Ryan's going to host. I have one of those tents or whatever something that covers like a 9 foot by 9 foot area that gives a little shade. It just can't be left up all the time. But it can be put up temporarily for any event.
Would you be willing to, since we'll be talking our budget ideals next, like some of our year projects next meeting, would you be able to take on, Ted, coming up with a price point for how much it would take to build those things?
How big do you want it?
I would say comparable to what's there now.
Yeah, like 3 feet by, I mean, we could do 3 by 8, something like that. A little bit
Sounds
more
good to me.
substantial than what we have there now. That would last a little bit longer, a lot longer.
I think that sounds great. And I just am going to cut myself off from responding directly to that just because Karen and then Jane have their hands raised. Karen, you're muted, it looks like.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot to take my hand down. But
Okay,
Ted,
great.
I would be able, if you wanted any help, I'd be glad to prop things up while you're drilling or whatever.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, me too. Me too. It's my favorite job. Jane.
Well, I just wanted to say, I also have one of those pop-ups. It's 11 by 11, and I'd be happy to bring it at any time. They're easily transportable. And actually, they're relatively cheap, you know? I mean,
Oh, let me write that down. We could just have one in the shed, but if not, I might ask you to bring it to the opening
yeah,
that
they're
day.
very portable. And they take
Great.
2 minutes to put up.
Awesome. And then let's see, Margie.
Yeah, I was thinking, Ted, I can ask my son, who is a carpenter. He builds houses and furniture and everything. If he's interested in helping, he might get excited about it because he got excited about putting in the wooden beds for me. Maybe it will interest him. If you'd like some help, I don't know if you want help.
Yeah, well, that'd be great.
I'll run it by him. I don't expect an immediate enthusiastic response, but he tends to mull things over and then like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. So I'll ask him. I'll put it out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm retired, so I have time, a little bit more time on my hands, I'm sure, than he does. But you know,
oh yeah,
if
he lost his job, so
if they wanted to put up a gazebo or something, then that's beyond beyond me. So maybe sometime
Frank. Oh, sorry, Ted.
I love the idea of a new picnic table. I'm really not sold on any kind of permanent structure that goes over it. I like the temporary idea of just bringing things and setting them up, because anything permanent is another thing to mow around and another thing to have to weed whack around. And those are things, like when we talk about this kind of thing, we really need to remember that particular detail. And I would just think in terms of a over structure, the cost in looking at our budget. I don't know. I have reservations about that, but it's more to do with just having to work around another thing. It's already pretty tough for that area where the picnic table is to mow and do everything we need to do. So I think the pop-up tents are a much better way to go, for sure.
Is there a better location for the picnic table?
For the table? Not really. I mean, if you look around in terms of level places, and I think it's having it closer to where we park. Like if, let's say we have a potluck, you don't have to schlep the food all the way down to the other end of the garden or whatever. I mean, everything is right. You're right there. I think it works for people that lead plants. It's when we have the opening day, it's a good base to work from. I think the location's fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, that sounds like good fodder for discussion for the budget. And I'm going to work on, Ryan has said she would help organize some social events. I think that would be great. So I'm going to work on maybe a work day outline and coordinate with Ryan a little bit about some things with that. Any other comments on any, I mean, we talked about governance a little, and this new project idea. Any other comments? Yeah, Margie?
I have a question. Ryan and Jane,
Oh no, why is it doing that to you? It just muted you and turned your video off, just like you said it's been doing.
it keeps shutting off without me doing
That's
it.
it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But you're back.
I'm just wondering, Ryan and Jane, do you want to be on the committee email list so you get the there's a few emails I send out that's just for the committee, not for the community. Do you guys want to be put on that contact list?
Sure, why not?
It doesn't mean you're making a commitment to join the committee unless you expressly say so. But
Right,
I send out those emails that I send to committee members since you're at this meeting making these great suggestions.
I'll say sure, why not for now as well.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Maybe we should just have a social event committee.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, that would help take some pressure off of the work days organizing as well. Because we could rotate who's hosting, we could rotate who's hosting them and stuff.
I nominate Ryan.
Yes.
I second.
I'm in favor.
Unanimous.
Awesome. Ryan, do you
Oh,
feel,
I got myself into.
Yeah, I was gonna say this note, this very quiet note that said happy to help organize social events is now turned into something else.
Just so you know, if you have a thought that you want to send out to the community, you can let me know and I can email it out. So I can be a point person for that, like I am for other things too. So you don't have to take on that aspect of it as well. In case that helps.
We need good ideas. Right? Oops.
All right. Cool. Ryan, do you have any closing comments or thoughts?
Not specifically. Maybe I'll follow up with you, Sarah, because it seems like you've done a lot of that in the past. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's already sort of a plan for a first, like a vague plan for a first one. So maybe we start there. But I also really like the idea. Yeah, Sarah, I'll sort of connect with you, but of sort of, yeah, developing a schedule for the whole year. So then we could.
Cool. That sounds good. And we can meet and do that over coffee. And if anyone's wanting to, if somebody's like, don't leave me out, please, speak now or later, and I'll include you in that meeting. Jane, your hand's up.
Yes. And this is kind of a little bit off of the agenda, but I know I'm going to be gone for a while. So it's about the soil and the compost. When will you be ordering that?
Well, Mark is not at this meeting and he usually runs that. So I will, when do you leave, Jane?
The 20th of March, and I won't be back until probably the 20 something of April, the 20th of April.
If I can get in touch with Mark here tomorrow and see what he's thinking, he has the capacity for, I would imagine it might be good to do it like we did last time, where we use the all gardeners meeting to kind of announce that and get people ordering. So that would probably be May.
So I have time. It's like the order by day should be like May.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But you'll be back by then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I only wrote down when you were leaving and not when you were back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. I now for new business, I did have on here the opening workday. Would we like to do that earlier in April versus May? their interest in that. Margie?
I just read something about garden cleanup on some site I'm on, and it says in this neck of the woods, don't clean up until May because you disturb a lot of the critters that are under the leaves and under the branches, and they even have a no mow May, which I'm sure everyone's heard of.
Yeah.
Which is a little extreme, but like I went out today thinking I'd move some branches, and then I remembered what I read because there's all these, I don't know what to call them, ecological critters who are under there doing their thing to improve the soil or whatever they do, and it's too soon in March and April to clean up. So, I'm not advocating one way or the other because there's probably good reasons to start early too, but I just thought I'd share that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right. Any thoughts or feelings? Otherwise, I think I'm going to table deciding on the exact date until our April meeting. Unless there's a desire to have the workday be in April. Okay. All right. It seems like we're fine with waiting to decide that. And part of me wants to make sure that all gardeners meeting is also in May because we have a lot of things to discuss next meeting that might be kind of like too much to include with also all the welcoming details of the all gardeners meeting. So I think keeping that in May might be good as well, just because I wanted to make sure next meeting we do dedicate time to talking about the donation garden and continuing on with the updates about what gardeners are returning and about some of the events coordinating that Ryan's going to be doing, and if anyone asks to do anything with the governance portion of this potential new governance portion of our committee. So I'm going to move on from the new business there. And our next meeting is April 3rd at 7 p.m. Is there any other questions or comments before we close out this evening? Okay. Well, we all should meet in person soon. I love the Zooms, but I also really like hanging out with you guys. It's like, so we all need to get a drink at the Brass Cat or something as well. Try to throw that out there soon too. Great.
Or darlings.
Or darlings. That's true. I feel like
darlings.
I feel like I asked Amanda if I could play bring some of my gaming friends, like if we could play like a role-playing game there, and she's like no. So wonder if gardening's okay. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to move to end our meeting tonight. Does anyone second the motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.